Hey everyone, this is Glenn with All About Our House, and this time I'm talking to you about, was it worth it to move out to the country? You know, we used to live in a neighborhood, beautiful subdivision, lots of great neighbors. We're still friends with those folks, and we lived there for 5-6 years. It was a great time, and the more and more we lived there, the more we felt this kind of itch to have more property, have more places for the kids to roam and explore. You know, we homeschool our kids, so our kids are home all day, and being cooped up in a house, I don't care how big it is, with a tiny property around that house, it's tough on the kids. They don't have anywhere to go. We didn't necessarily have a ton of land. We had a nice yard. We tried to keep up with it and make it look nice, and that was one of the problems. Was I felt myself being frustrated that I wanted to have this nice yard and nice surroundings for our neighbors to see our house, but at the same time I also felt bad for our kids that they couldn't go outside in the yard and dig a hole. I mean they could have, but that would drive me nuts because I was trying to make our yard look very nice and again keep up with how the neighbors' yards look, which looked very nice. And so if we were to have our kids out there digging holes and leaving bikes out and stuff, it becomes a little unsightly, right? So, was it worth it to move out to the country and have land in that respect? Absolutely. It definitely was. Our kids can go out and dig a hole and get dirty, and they can kind of do what they need because there's plenty of land to go do those kinds of things, and no one needs to feel bad about it. Now, the other part that I didn't necessarily know how it was going to go, was it worth the extra time for my drive for me to have to spend in the car every day? It's another 10 minutes past where we used to live to get out to this new property. And so 10 minutes to work, 10 minutes back, extra, that's 20 minutes a day that I'm not home, that I was, I added on to my commute. Was it worth it? I think it was. I absolutely love my drive home and my drive to work. As a matter of fact, I'm on my way home from work right now, and as you can see, it's kind of busy around here. There's trucks and business and all kinds of stuff going on. And as I get further and further from work, it kind of starts to, open up and be a little more rural. And the cool thing about the property we bought is it's just enough out of town that you feel like you're out of town and you're in a new setting, but it's just close enough to town where you still have all the modern conveniences. There's a gas station pretty close. There's stores pretty close. So you don't feel like you're so far out. I mean, some of our friends live 15, 20, some 35 or 40 minutes out of, the major towns around here. So I think that would probably be hard for us, just knowing how many things we have to get to per week, extra things besides work. I think that time does start to kind of add up and maybe affect affect your time at home. Now, for me, I do a lot of going to work and coming home and going back for evening things. So, a lot of our friends, they don't have that situation. They go, they come back, and then they're there for a while. So this, that was unique for us, that we needed to find a place that was close to town and yet out there enough where you could find a property that actually had some acreage, So our property is 6 acres. Once you get to the edge of town, you got to go down quite a few farm miles to get over to, our neighborhood. Our neighborhood used to be an Indian reservation. So on one side of the road there was one reservation, on the other side there was another reservation. And so the main road that we live off of split the two reservations, which is kind of historically cool to think about, what was going on there. And all the different things that have happened over there. We have yet to find any relics or archaeological items that might be of interest, but we're really hoping that we can find some arrowheads or some things at some point if we're digging around. So yeah, was it worth it to get out to find a property with that kind of unique size, setting, lots of woods, pretty much away from neighbors for the most part? Yeah, I think it was definitely worth it. Is it worth the extra 20 minutes a day? Definitely. And I think that one of my favorite things about this drive is that as it starts to open up and become more rural, I can really kind of feel my anxiety and my stress from work stuff. And I wouldn't really even consider myself a stressed out person or anything, but all the emails and all the things that you're thinking about for your job, they start to kind of go away when you reach a certain point on this drive. And my favorite part of the drive specifically is when we get to the entrance to our property. It's this gravel driveway. I've got a whole video on our driveway, as a matter of fact. I'm going to walk down it and walk back and kind of show you, all the fun stuff we got to take care of to make our driveway work. But yeah, it's a third of a mile long to get from the gravel entrance to the actual house. So when my car hits that gravel, I just have this overwhelming feeling of, oh man, I'm finally home. Put everything aside. It's time to focus on family. It's time to focus on different things that bring me joy, and things that I signed up for when we got this property. That being said, I would say if you're a person looking for property and you're on the search and you're looking at various things and you get to one of them and it's a bit out of town, far enough out of town where you're thinking, man, I don't know that I want to add more time to my commute. I think there is like a special, I think there's a number there where maybe it is going to start to be a little annoying or start to build up too much where it's not quite worth it. But for me, the 10 minutes extra is definitely worth it. So I would encourage you to go for it. I think that the extra 10 minutes will just give you extra 10 minutes of peace as the country opens up and you start to see more wildlife or more open fields or maybe just a different setting. I think that you're going to really see that it's worth it. It's definitely worth it. Matter of fact, I'm turning right now onto the road that gets me out to our area. So you can probably see it's kind of busy in the background with traffic lights and things like that. But in a second here, it's going to start kind of opening up. Start to see some farm fields and some more rural neighborhoods and stuff. And this is where I get to go a little faster on the highway here, and I can start seeing more sky. Like the sky in and of itself relaxes me because you can just see more, right? You can see the clouds, you can see like the birds coming in and out, the flocks of geese flying over these huge fields. Sometimes they're out feeding, or sometimes they're coming in and landing. It's a peaceful surrounding, It's a little dangerous sometimes with rain and snow. It tends to, kind of get covered over more out here, so you got to be careful. But at the same time, it's cool getting to live out here, getting to live where you have more space and a little more room to breathe. Sure does resonate with me, and that's what we were kind of looking for. We were really hoping that was going to be what the experience was. I was a little worried, to tell you the truth, that maybe we'd get out here and we'd start feeling like, oh, this was a big mistake, and maybe we shouldn't have done this. Maybe all this extra time and effort to get all the way out here, maybe the mundane, once we start doing it every day, maybe it's not going to wind up being that special. But I got to tell you, the opposite has been true. I think the more I live here and the more I experience God's beauty and openness and time to really see things and notice things, I'm enjoying it more and more the longer we live out here. So yeah, you can see now it's really starting to open up and be more farms. There's something about looking at these old farm buildings and, you know, people's property that are just, you know, more spread out, that helps you just slow down. You look at a few items here and there and reminds you to just slow down, focus in on what's important. And if that's for you, you know, if you need that in your life, maybe a move out to a rural property is what you need. You know, there's been books and videos and documentaries that talk about the importance of being in nature and the importance of slowing down and giving your kids opportunities to be out in those settings. And when we started thinking about moving out here, it was like, man, we could have this be like our everyday could be this. It could be a real experience. And I wonder what that would look like to live in that kind of environment. It's awesome. You know, it really is. The one thing that's a drawback is, you know, it might be a little more expensive to acquire the land. Sure, that's something that is an investment or a value that you'll have to make the decision on. Another drawback is, of course, that extra time. Are those minutes that crucial? And do they make that big of an impact on your life? I don't know. It might. So you'd have to have those conversations. And I guess one more thing that you'd have to really think about is, you know, are you ready to do all that? Like, are you ready to take that on? Because there are responsibilities to taking care of a longer driveway, more property. Like, you know, you're going to spend a little more time probably doing that than you were before. But if that interests you and you're looking for that to be part of your life, then I think that would be something you should consider and go for it. I know some people worry about as they get older and all those things. You know, right now we're not thinking about that. We're thinking about now. We're thinking about our kids now, our marriage now, our family now, and what we want to do now. So here we go. I'm getting to my driveway right now, turning in, and I don't know if you can hear it. There's snow on the ground right now. You probably can't hear the gravel rumbling so much, maybe a little bit. But yeah, it's just wide open out here, as you can probably see. And this is what I love about it. You know, it's extra time in the car, but it's also beautiful. And this is where I typically remind myself to breathe, you know, and to relax, and that this is something you're supposed to enjoy. This is a gift. This is a blessing from the Lord in a lot of ways. I probably need to make a video on our whole story about how we acquired this land and all the amazing things that happened, and all the steps along the way that we figured, oh, this isn't going to work out, and then everything did work out, and it was like, wow, this is meant to be, you know. So we're just so thankful to be out here. This channel, if you're new to this, is called All About Our House. I'm trying to have this YouTube channel be a blessing from our family over to you, that you can do this, and you can, if we could do it, you can do it. Tips, tricks, you know, things that we're, you know, trying to share out and show you all the unique things that we're trying to do out here. And just know that if you're trying to do something like this, or you're moving out to the country, know that it's probably worth it. Yeah, it's probably, you're gonna have to change a few things in your life, but I do think it's worth it, and I do think it's worth you looking into. So if you have any questions, or you want to ask us some specifics about how we acquired things or how we went through the process, reach out, drop a comment below, subscribe, because we're dropping videos as often as we possibly can on how this all is coming to fruition. Our house here is not built yet. It's not totally done yet. and we're trying to share all the unique and fun things along the way. So become a member by subscribing so you can see all the great things we're trying to accomplish. And welcome to our family. And thanks again for watching All About Our House. This is Glenn, and I'll see you next time.